Hello again, this is Don Zico. I've got another Warhammer battle report up. This is going to be again Dark Elves versus Lizardmen. It's my twin brother's Lizardmen army again, so it'll be familiar to any repeat viewers. But I'm trying out a slightly different list myself. This is a sort of a monster mash. I'm trying out a Dragon Rider, and I put my Battle Standard Bearer on a Manticore. So I've got those two big monsters and a Hydra on top of, beyond that, basically my normal list. And we'll see how it does. So let's get into the Lizardman deployment. On his right flank, he's going to have a unit of 10 Chameleon Skinks, then a Stegodon, and one of his 2 blocks of Saurus. His center has got his Temple Guard with his Slaane's Mage Priest and another big block of Saurus Warriors. And to their left, he's going to have a unit of 3 Salamanders, another unit of 10 Chameleon Skinks, and a block of something like 15 Skink cohorts. And then he's got a couple Skink Priests kind of skulking around behind the formation. So anyway, he's facing off against this, magic-heavy Saurus phalanx. I've got on my left flank a unit of Dark Riders and my Lord on a Dragon. Then coming across, I've got a unit of 20 Crossbowmen with my level 2 Mage. Two blocks of about 30 Dark Elf Spearmen, my Hydra, my Battle Standard Bearer on a Manticore, and my right flank's going to have on my other unit of Dark Riders, a unit of about 8 Shades, and my unit of Cold One Knights. Now you'll notice that both of us have scouts, and I have fast cavalry that had the option of sort of deploying up on the field, but neither of us really did so. Basically, what's going on here is that we have a standoff. I fear the shooting on his Chameleon Skinks, at least when it's directed against my Dark Riders or my Shades, and he fears what the damage output of my Dark Riders or my Shades if I get to shoot first. So we're both kind of hanging back and not using the rules that we have to deploy up on the field. Now, before I get going, I want to apologize on both of our armies that we have a few proxied and unpainted models slipped in there because essentially we're both sort of playing around with our lists for 8th edition to try and hit our stride and figure out what we're going to want to take to tournaments. The Dragon in particular, I do have a painted Dark Elf Dragon Rider, but it was sitting at someone else's house at the time of this battle report, so I used my brother's Forest Dragon, which is itself a tale of woe that I won't go into here. But anyway, moving on to Lizardman for turn 1, he's going to advance his Chameleon Skinks and his Stegodon a little bit on his right flank. Then across the center, he'll move up some, not full speed, but he will move up with his infantry. And on his left, he's going to angle one of his Saurus blocks to anticipate anticipate my Cold One Knights coming around. And he's going to swing his Salamanders around with the intention of getting some big template shots against my Warriors. Then you can see on his far left that he's going to sort of face his Skinks and his Chameleon Skinks against my troops without really moving them up aggressively. Then in his magic phase, he's going to get the first of several really terrible rolls for the Winds of Magic. I think he got something like 3 or 4 power dice. So I think he cast the Throne of Vines, but basically he didn't really do anything worthwhile. And his shooting was all out of range, so that's his turn. So on Dark Elf turn 1, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to charge his Salamanders with my Battle Standard Bearer on a Manticore. It's a long charge, but I had a pretty decent shot of making it, and I think if I'd made it, this would have left him in a kind of exposed position, but I really didn't want those Salamanders shooting down my line, so I felt like this was still a good decision. Anyway, the Salamanders fled, and I didn't catch them, but the way the failed charge rules currently work, I think I moved probably 5 or 6 inches forward, maybe. Then on the rest of my movement, I'm gonna advance across the line. On my right flank, my Cold Ones are going to move up and get ready to charge his Skink cohorts. My Shades and my Dark Riders will maneuver to shoot at them, and then my Warriors and my Hydra are both going to run up in the center of the board, while my Dragon flies in and lands right beside his block of Saurus Warriors. And my magic phase, this is the kind of thing that I've just not gotten used to about 8th edition yet. I rolled a 12 for my power dice. So I had 12 power dice to work with on a one level 2 mage with metal magic. And I what I did was I used I think 7 or 8 dice because I'm Dark Elves and I can use more than 6, and that meant that I was rolling more dice than he could possibly roll to dispel to cast the powered up version of the signature spell, which is essentially Spirit of the Forge from 7th edition, except better on his Stegodon. And somehow or another I rolled 7 or 8 dice without getting double sixes, but the result was like a 27 or something, and the Lizardmen player tried to dispel and failed. So I hit the Stegodon. I think I did 3 wounds to the Stegodon itself, killed 2 of the skink crewmen, and killed his skink chief that was riding on top. So that was a pretty good haul for a level 2. Then in my shooting phase, I use my breath weapon on his Saurus warriors. I also shoot them with my big unit of crossbowmen, and between the two, I kill I think something like 12 Saurus warriors. I don't know the exact number, but quite a few. Then the rest of my shooting is fairly inconclusive, but I still felt like that was a good haul. And that'll bring us to Lizardmen turn 2. Alright, so here's the board at the start of Lizardmen turn 2. You can see basically, I think at this point my my opponent kind of ceded the initiative to me and started basically just thinking about like trying to stop me from coming up and enveloping him and then eating him with big monsters. And I wouldn't necessarily say that's going to affect the outcome, but I think that was probably an error on his part that comes from games in the past where it was safe to assume that if you have Saurus heavy Lizardmen, you're playing against an army like Dark Elves, they can run rings around you, and that's that. But anyway, so in his movement phase, he doesn't do a whole lot with the center of his line, but he's going to move up his Chameleon Skinks on the right. He's also going to move his Salamander to rear charge my Dragon. Then on his left, he's going to rally his Salamanders, and that will be about it. Then his magic phase roll is bad this turn too. I think he gets 5 dice, and with those he's going to cast Regrowth on his Saurus warriors. Brings back I think 4 of them, and he's going to miscast and use Cupped Hands to throw the miscast onto my level 2 mage. And that'll it's the small blast template strength 10 hits one, so that'll put a wound on her and kill 4 of my crossbowmen. Then in his shooting, I've only got one picture for this, but he's going to shoot at my Manticore and put a wound on it. He's also going to shoot at my Dragon with his Chameleon Skinks, and I had a pretty awful armor save roll, so he actually puts 3 wounds on the Dragon with poison blowpipes right there. So this brings us to Dark Elf turn 2, which is where the action really starts to pick up. I'm going to start by charging his rightmost Saurus unit with my War Hydra and my Dragon. They'll both make it. My BSB on my Manticore is going to charge his other unit of Saurus, and he makes it into combat. And my Cold One Knights are going to charge his Skink cohort, and they'll make it into combat too. Apart from that, my Dark Rider unit is going to move around to shoot one of his loose skink shamans, and my Shades are going to move around to shoot at the other, the other skink priest, excuse me. And my Dark Rider unit on the left is going to move up to potentially try and threaten try and shoot his Stegodon over the hill or something like that. In my magic phase, I get another high roll. I get an 11, and I do the same thing. I use a whole bunch of dice to cast the signature spell from the Lore of Metal on his Stegodon. It goes off with Irresistible Force, and it kills the Stegodon, and the miscast reduces my mage. My mage's level by, I think, 3, so she's no longer a mage, but I no longer have that Stegodon threatening the back of my Dragon. So in combat, my Hydra and my Dragon are going to kill just a ton of Saurus warriors, all but 2 of them. They break, run the Saurus down, and hit the flank of the Temple Guard. My Manticore is going to kill a few Saurus warriors, and the attacks back are going to kill the Manticore, so my BSB is on foot and isn't getting help anytime soon. But my Cold One Knights do break and run down the Skink cohort. And then that's going to force a panic check on his Skink Shaman and his Chameleon Skinks, which they both fail and run out right in the middle of the battle line there.